On this episode, we are talking about the C word. And it's not what you're thinking. We're talking credit score. Coming up. Welcome, I'm your host, Steve Penate, realtor and host of the Steve Talks Real Estate Show, where we bring you value, content, and tips in all things real estate and housing related. So on this episode, we are talking about credit score. Now don't run off yet. I know that credit score is a touchy subject. As a matter of fact, a lot of people ignore this subject because no one likes to look at negative things, right? I mean, who does? We've all been there. Credit score is one of the taboo words when it comes to people's financial profile. At some point, a lot of people have experienced having a low credit score. I remember coming out of the university, I was in debt and I had a credit score. I couldn't even count that low, honestly. And it took me forever to dig out of the mess I created myself. So today I am gonna talk about what affects a negative credit score. Now we can talk about this for days, and I am going to be talking a lot more about this. What a credit score really is, it shows your behavior with credit that has been extended to you. How are you behaving with credit that has been given to you? Are you the type of person that has a credit card, goes out and maxes it out in a month? Are you the type of person that has 6 credit cards? I recently heard a story where someone had 23 credit cards. Honestly, what can someone do with 23 credit cards? Someone tell me. Now listen, I am gonna talk about 3 things that affects your score negatively when it comes to your credit score. Let's go. Okay, so 3 things that affects your credit score negatively. Right now, to qualify for a home loan, most banks require a minimum of a 620 credit score. Now, I know I'm gonna get some lender out there or some agent out there that someone can qualify with the 580 credit score. But let's be honest, if someone has a 580 credit score, there's a bigger problem than you doing everything possible to qualify for a home loan. Remember this, what good is it buying a house if your financial life is on the edge of falling over all over again? I want to encourage you as you watch this that you begin to think about these things, okay? These 3 things, although there are a lot more, just on this episode, I'm gonna focus on these 3 things. They affect your credit score negatively. So the first thing is paying your bills late. Every time you make a late payment on your car payment, on your credit cards, on any credit extended to you, anytime it's late, guess what? It affects your score negatively. It's funny how a lot of people get surprised when they find out their score. Oh my gosh, I had no idea it was that low. And then we go look at their financial profile and it turns out they've been late the past 6 months on their credit cards or on their car payments and so on. Every time, listen to me, every time you make a late payment, your credit score is going to be affected negatively. Let's look at the second thing, okay? Number 2. High. This is the key word here, okay? High credit card use. So let's use this as an example, okay? Let's say you have a credit card that has a limit of $1,000 on it, okay? And let's say you get swipe happy. Swipe, 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 swipe. And you use up out of the $1,000, $900. Okay? Every time this card is reporting to the credit bureau that it's being used over 50% of its limit, okay, it affects your credit profile negatively. Okay, why? Because you almost have the card maxed out. Listen to this. Maxed out credit cards affect your credit profile in a negative way. If you have any cards right now that are being used over 50%, okay, I want to encourage you, do everything possible to start paying them down. You gotta pay them down, okay? The best way to maintain revolving credit is to keep your cards at 30% of its use. In this example, that would mean don't ever use a credit card that has a $1,000 limit more than $300. If it goes higher than that, listen to me, you're on the verge of risking your credit score is gonna get hit negatively. Number 3, let's take a look at number 3, okay? So number 3 is, I'm gonna write this one in red, okay? Okay, any debt that you have in collections, it's literally beating up your credit score every single month. Any debt that is in collections is reporting every single month negatively on your credit profile. I understand there are times when we have some hard financial times. I understand we go through difficulties and so on. But when it comes down to that, the worst thing you can do is not answer their phone calls. The worst thing you can do is stop paying on it. The worst thing you can do is to ignore debt. It's funny how easy it is to get into debt, but it's really hard to get out of it. I want to encourage you, if you are on the verge of anything going into collections, call the company and negotiate. Okay? Express it to them. Hey, I'm having a hard time right now. I'm going through hard times. I am going through a job transition. We're having family issues, whatever it is. Most likely they can work with your payment. But as long as you have a payment plan, they're not reporting negatively because the account won't go into collections. Communication is key here. Don't allow anything to go into collections because collections are lethal to your credit score. Now, these are 3 things that affect your score in a negative way. There are many others that we'll talk about at a different time, but these are 3 things that are very common to a lot of people. It's incredible to see whenever I sit down with families and I ask them, hey, what are your monthly expenses? The response usually is, hold on, let me check. And the reason why is because there isn't a plan. There isn't a budget. There isn't a name attached to the income that's coming in. So it just blows wherever the wind blows. It goes wherever it goes. And what ends up happening is that people get into high debt, start making late payments, and eventually it's a snowball effect where the accounts fall into collections. Well, that wraps up episode number 48 of the Steve Talks Real Estate Show. I hope this episode really encouraged you to reflect on your finances. Don't let your credit score surprise you. Make a plan today. If you want to sit down with me and talk about this, make your own plan, reach out to me. Facebook message me, email me, call me. I'm a very public person, so it's very easy to reach me. Keep sending in your questions, and I will do my best to keep answering them. We'll see you next time.